Title: She is not my baby. In a lush green village nestled between the hills and the river, there lived a wise old woman named Mama Bintu. She was known far and wide for her knowledge of the earth, the stars, and the stories passed down through generations. Her words were revered, and people from distant lands would often come to seek her counsel. One bright morning, a young woman named Adama arrived at Mama Bintu's door. She was holding a small bundle wrapped in a bright cloth, her face a mixture of sadness and fear. "Grandmother," Adama said, her voice trembling, "I have a problem that I cannot solve alone. I need your help." Mama Bintu motioned for her to sit beside her, the old woman's eyes sharp despite her age. "Tell me, child, what brings you to me today?" Adama took a deep breath and unwrapped the cloth, revealing a baby girl, no more than a few months old. "This is my daughter, but she is not my baby." Mama Bintu looked at the child, who gazed back with curious eyes. The baby's skin was darker than Adama's own, and her hair was straight, unlike the tight curls of Adama's people. "I don't understand," Mama Bintu said, her voice steady but filled with concern. "If this child is not yours, how did she come into your care?" Adama's eyes filled with tears, and she began her story. "I was married to a man named Kofi, and we longed for children. After many years, I was finally pregnant, and our hearts were full of joy. But when I went into labor, something went terribly wrong. I almost died, and I was so weak when they finally handed me the child. My husband was overjoyed, but when I looked at her, I knew something was wrong. Her eyes were not like mine, her skin was not like mine, and her hair was not like mine. She looked different, but I couldn't tell him. I wanted to believe that she was mine." Mama Bintu listened quietly as Adama continued. "Days turned into weeks, and I could no longer ignore the truth. This child was not mine. I thought of how I would explain it to Kofi, but the guilt and shame weighed heavily on me. I couldn't bear the thought of disappointing him, so I kept the secret. But now I feel I can no longer hide the truth. I fear that my husband will leave me when he finds out. I fear that my village will shun me for keeping this lie." Mama Bintu remained silent for a long moment, her wrinkled face thoughtful. Then she spoke in a soft yet firm voice. "Adama, my child, the land does not ask where the rain comes from, nor does the river question which mountain it flows from. A child is not defined by the place she comes from, but by the love that nourishes her. When you take a child into your heart and raise her with care, she becomes your own, no matter where she was born or who her mother was." "But she is not mine by blood," Adama protested, wiping away a tear. "How can I claim her as my own?" "You speak as though blood is all that matters," Mama Bintu said, her eyes full of wisdom. "But let me tell you a story, child." Mama Bintu began to tell a tale that had been passed down through generations. Long ago, in a village much like this one, there was a woman named Kofi who gave birth to a child. But when the baby was born, it did not look like her. The child had the skin of another tribe and the eyes of a distant people. The villagers whispered and the mother cried. But she loved that child with all her heart and raised her as her own. Years passed and the child grew strong. One day, the mother asked the child, "Where did you come from, my dear?" The child replied, "I came from your love. I came from your care." Adama listened intently. One day, Mama Bintu continued, the child went to the river to fetch water. There she met a wise elder who told her, "You are the daughter of the earth, the sky, and the river. You belong to the land and the people who care for you." The elder explained, "When a child is cared for with love, the earth gives her roots, and those roots are stronger than any blood." Adama sat in silence, her heart heavy, but something deep inside her began to shift. "Now," Mama Bintu said, "you must go to your husband. Tell him the truth, for it is only through truth that we find freedom. But remember, the child you hold is not just your husband's or your own." She is a gift from the earth, the river, and the stars. And in that child, there is no difference between blood and love. That evening, with Mama Bintu's words in her heart, Adama returned to her husband Kofi. She stood before him, trembling, but with newfound courage. She told him everything, how the child was not hers, how she feared his anger, and how she had kept the secret out of shame. Kofi listened quietly, and when she finished, he took her hands in his. "Adama," he said softly, "you are my wife, and this is my child. Whether her blood runs through our veins or not does not matter. We are her parents because we love her, and that is enough. Let us raise her as our